suffering ceases to be suffering as it finds meaning. So just showing people that like even in sobriety, like you can have a really fun, exciting life, and you can build it the way that you want to build it. It can look a million different ways.
I always say the single greatest coping mechanism I've ever experienced or witnessed or held space with in my recovery is community.
Yeah, of like how do I really get aligned with my mental, my spiritual, and my physical self, just to come back to that place that does tell me that I am perfect, imperfect, which is perfect. Like I'm perfectly me.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another amazing, exciting, and of course enthusiastic episode of Finding Peaks. Your host, Chris Burns, president and founder here at Peaks Recovery Centers, established in 2014. Coming up on our 11-year anniversary in September. Get excited, a lot of good things coming there. I am humbled and honored today to be joined by a guest that I just hold in high regard in our community, offering services to folks in a vulnerable community that desperately need it. It's very much integrated. We have Jared Marquette here today. He is the owner of Sonder Integrated Living, as well as Archipelago Club. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
So grateful to have you. We had a conversation for about 20 minutes prior to the show, and I just want to dive in where we first picked up and tell us a little bit about your journey, even the venture capital stuff and how you moved through that with your mental health and began to think about things that were more purpose-driven like Archipelago and certainly Sonder. I want the viewers to really get some context for your story and why you're sitting here today.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's you know the Steve Jobs commencement speech where you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back. So as I'm going through it, it always feels chaotic. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, that works here and there. And you know, I started my professional career really at about 30 years old. I went back to school in my late 20s to get an MBA and ended up going into venture capital work and moved to Nashville to work for venture capital, like kind of aggregate there. And I didn't really know what venture capital was. I got really lucky. It's like a big part of my story is lucky. My godfather would say the harder you work, the luckier you get.
I like that.
So I do too. It makes sense. And ended up in DC working for a few funds up there that were very purpose-driven funds, and my job was kind of to build community, and so to aggregate, organize, and communicate resources that supported the investments that we made, which just kind of put me out in the community in front of people, all of which were trying to accomplish different things. I moved every Sunday for a year and a half to a new city. And yeah, it was a lot. Wow. It was a whole lot. And it was beautiful, and I'm really appreciative for it. Also, it was really tiring. Yeah. And at one point, we hired an intern who had like graduated Yale Law School at like 23 or 24. She'd worked for FEMA. She came in as an intern. She was willing to work like 90 hours a week, no problem. And I was just like taking Adderall to keep up with her, and you know, it was really unhealthy, and had a moment of recognition where I was like, I don't think I'm built for this. And I didn't want to admit that, but I just felt out of alignment. I felt really unhealthy. I hadn't gone to the gym. I went once at this place near my apartment that I never saw in DC to a CrossFit gym and thought I was going to die. And I used to do CrossFit all the time, and I felt great. It was just, I realized like how far off base I was, and I came back to Denver because I previously lived in Denver, and came back for New Year's Eve, talked to my mom on the phone. I remember I was walking through Rhino, and I told her, I was like, I don't think I can leave. Like, I don't think I can go back to that. And she said, well, don't. And I ended up seeing a friend a few days later who sent me to a breath work because I was telling him just about how I was feeling and how far away from myself I was feeling, and had like a really profound experience in this breath work. And I'm a skeptic with all things. Still at Archipelago, I get made fun of because I'm always like, that's not real. Like, that's not a real thing.
What does the water even do for you?
Yeah, you know, and I said it about acupuncture one time, and someone's like, oh, so you're telling me like thousands of years of anecdotal evidence from millions of people doesn't equal your own random opinion. I was like, oh man, okay, maybe I should rethink this. But after that, I started looking at like the ways that I was trying to keep myself healthy and how unhealthy I'd been. And then I still had the venture capital lens of, what's this community like well positioned to support? Denver well positioned to support? What are people looking for? What am I spending money on that I think other people will be spending money on in the future? And it was wellness. And so we ended up, me and business partner Jason Shepard, and then brought in someone named Nora Sachs that was working at Summit, which is, I don't know, are you familiar with Summit out in Utah? They put on big experiential events around wellness. It's a great organization. And brought her in and decided to open up membership-focused wellness community, like a social club. So like Soho House, but just like not as nice and not as big and not as fancy. And did that for about 8 years. We've been doing it for 8 years. I thought we'd be in 10 cities in 5 years, and there came a point where that just became clear it wasn't going to happen. The model wasn't there. We weren't making the money that we needed to. We could support stability in a market. We couldn't really support growth. And so decided to shut it down. Actually, a month after my dad passed away, we decided to shut it down, which was like a really hard decision to make, and a lot of loss kind of balled into one. And I kind of spiraled again from there. And I, for a year, just got really depressed, and then hit like a breaking point. I don't know if I started Googling like what's happening to me, because it felt specific, but really foreign to me. And the best I could come up with was like ego death. Like over the course of a few days, I just went like full dark night of the soul. I became wildly depressed, and decided that I was going to take a year off, and took time off of work. I ended up going to walk the Camino de Santiago. And so, walked 35 days, 8 hours a day in silence. And at the end of it, just realized that I really wasn't okay. At that point that I really decided to dedicate myself to doing the right things for me, which had always been cold plunge here, drink less than most people. Yeah, it would be good, but I finally said I have to cut out the things that I have to cut out. And got really healthy and was looking for a project. And at Archipelago, we'd seen a lot of people come in that were recently sober or sober curious, finding their sobriety, and they were all staying sober. And that was an unexpected outcome of the business itself. It's not what we intended in the beginning. And during the course of all of this too, I had some family back home who were opening up sober living facilities. And they wanted to open up something out here. Ended up not working out to do it together, but I'd gotten in my head to do it. And last November, decided to go for it and open up a sober living house. I really thought that I had not necessarily knowledge on what it meant to be in addiction recovery, but what it meant to build intentional, purposeful, mindful, healthy life. And that could really help people. I'd seen it help people through Archipelago. And so we ended up opening in February down in Denver. We have a women's house down there, looking for a second house right now. And yeah, it kind of brings us to where we're at now.
That's beautiful. I love what you said about the Archipelago Club and what it created, kind of the vision for helping folks within your integrated recovery home up there in Denver and Cherry Creek specifically, because I've talked about it on the show before, but I always say the single greatest coping mechanism I've ever experienced or witnessed or held space with in my recovery is community.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think a lot of our viewers might think, especially substance use folks, might think, well, no, I have to be in this one community because that's where all the addicts are and that's where the people that can relate to me. But your story brings up something far more clear. It's like, no, when I can be connected in community, have a great person to my right and a great person to my left, and be seen, valued, and heard in that, my life can take on new meaning.
Absolutely.
And I love that you guys were able to foster that through Archipelago and really begin to see that. And even with Sonder as well, it's just kind of like a community center of folks that come together from all different walks of life. It's all pathways. You do mental health, but more than anything, you help people integrate their lives and find their passion, kind of find their true north. How do How do you explore that with folks, especially with folks maybe who have come through our program that have been kind of hitting over the head with a substance use approach throughout their entire recovery, or a substance use approach throughout their treatment, or some treatment programs even offering 12 steps within their treatment program as a way of group therapy? How do you not dismantle, but kind of uncover and unpack with your guests that there potentially is a different opportunity?
Yeah, I think one is just like to give access to opportunity, right? It's like, I can explain to you cold plunge.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing that you do. It's a thing I try and do. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
Like I'm real bad. I'm like a 1 minute in the
Oh,
cold
really?
plunge. I try.
I always set it for 4:15 because it takes me 15 seconds because I'll sit there and be like, you getting in? You getting in?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. And then like I've learned just like go all the way under.
Yep.
So that way when your head pops up,
Yeah.
your head's warm all of a sudden.
Isn't that
and
great?
It provides this weird relief.
Yeah.
But you know, like I can explain it to you. I can explain that it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really matter until you do it.
Yeah.
And you know, for us, I don't even really tell people that I'm trying to get them to explore different avenues to their own wellness and recovery and really just like building themselves in their routine. I just show them things and let them experience them for themselves. So like at Sonder, we have pretty much weekly or bi-weekly programming that we bring into the house. And it might be a journaling workshop. It might be a breath work. We go to Archipelago and do the cold plunge in the sauna. We do sound healings. And I don't expect that everyone's life has changed by any means by doing one of these things. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if there's 8 people there from the house for it, 2 or 3 of them really connect to it. Mm-hmm. And then they start to explore it for themselves. And that was the whole idea of Archipelago, is we just wanted to do like a lot of varied things for people and give them the opportunity to experience the modality and see what worked for them. And I think the other part is we try and create like a space of aspiration. And so, you know, we say like we're a hope-based approach. And I think that that's saying that we want people to, at Archipelago, at Sonder, just in my general community, anyone around me, like I want them to understand that like life is difficult. I get that. Life is suffering, and I prescribe to that to a degree. It can also be beautiful, and you can build it as you want to build it. So just showing people that like even in sobriety, like you can have a really fun, exciting life, and you can build it the way that you want to build it. It can look a million different ways, and I think that I think the 12-step approach is amazing and has helped so many people, and it's a great foundation. I think for a lot of people, there comes a point where they start to say like, okay, but like I want to build a life. Like I want to build my life. And you kind of see that boredom start to set in at like 90 days and they think like, is this it? And so just trying to show people like it can be, but it doesn't have to be. You can experience different things, you can experience different people, you can experience life differently, and just giving them the opportunity to do so and giving them the freedom. Like in the house, I was telling you, we had the group of the girls came to me and they said they have 4 weekly programs they have to do a week. It can be yoga, it can be meditation, it can be AA. But they're like, you know, we all want to go to the fireworks. Does that count towards our weekly program? I was like, absolutely. Yeah, that's like the healthiest thing I've heard you guys say that you want to do in a long time. Yeah. You're going to go, you're going to be sober together, you're going to have this great experience, you're going to come back and think like that was a great night and I didn't use, I didn't drink, you know, and so I understand that this is an option. I understand that this is out there for me. And so kind of letting them find it too. And we really encourage them. We say like, don't be afraid to ask if it counts. I'll tell you if it doesn't. But the only requirement that we have for the programs is they're in community. Working out by yourself doesn't count. Going to a workout class does. And so, you know, just putting them in a position to be together and experience it together, I think is a huge part of it.
That's incredible. That's a lot different emphasis and communication than something like, if you want what I have, you'll do what I do.
Yeah.
That's tough, you know, and that feels a lot of times like suffocating.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that, you know, a lot of folks' stories, a lot of your guest stories around 90 days, they're like, well, what do we do now? I spent a lot of time in Alcoholics Anonymous and absolutely love my time in there. But there's a constant theme, and it's a very important story, I think, for people to hear. And, you know, I always say it was between 5 and 10 years. 5 and 10 years, I can't tell you how many friends in there. I'm like, am I the only one sitting in here thinking I should kill myself? Like, am I the only one in here that like my quality of life is about a 4? And it has nothing to do with the program. They provided me a foundation for sobriety and recovery that was amazing. But we got to have purpose in our lives. At least I know I have to have purpose.
Yeah.
When I can be purpose-driven, I can be authentic.
Yeah.
And that lack of authenticity and not having autonomy to explore what might benefit myself and my recovery and the ones around me can be really difficult to process.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I love what you said too about you allow Sonder guests to use the Archipelago?
Yeah, and so we go in once a month. We try and do, which anyone listening to this should check out, like broader community-oriented sober activities. And so it's for anybody. Our house has their dedicated spaces there. So if we do a breath work for 40 people, we take up 8 to 10 spaces, and then the rest is for anyone else who wants to come try it. And then we also go in for different programs, and I use the practitioners. I'm very fortunate to have a network of practitioners we built over 8 years through Archipelago, all of which are unbelievably willing to support this cause. I mean, it's beautiful that they just love that this is something that's happening too. And so, yeah, we take people into there too, because I also want to like get them out of the house and into public. Like, there's this shame around sober living, and I get it. And you know, everyone that comes in, I say the first thing to them, they like look kind of sad. I'm like, no one wants to be here, and it's okay that you feel that way. No one like says like, I'm glad that I've ended up in sober living.
This was my goal.
Yeah, you know, but it's a step. But also, like, there's a lot of people out there that are in the same position as you, and it's just like not talked about. And like, let's get out there and let's put you in Archipelago, which isn't a place for sober people. It's a place for anybody trying to make their life better. And ultimately, that's all you are. It's just like another person trying to make your life better. Like, I don't know how many times we have the conversation at the house of, they start explaining to me something that's going wrong and it's difficult in their life, and it's because they're an addict. It's because they're in recovery. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, but that's just a human experience of what you're having right there. Like, I have it, everyone has it, you know, like Sonder, like defined as the momentary recognition that we all live deep and intricate lives, that you do, that the person I see out the window does. And, you know, I think that if we all could take a step back and just recognize that we're all in this in the same capacity, we're all, you know, humans, we're souls having this experience, then it kind of takes some of the pressure off to like think of us so much as individuals instead of just people that we belong and we deserve, and we can have the same things as everyone else. Even the setup of the house, like our house is intentionally very well set up. It's beautiful, and it's because like that's what they deserve, you know, and not what they need to aspire to. It's like what they deserve now. They deserve to be in the public spaces. They deserve to be in programs with other people that are sober or not sober and working together.
Yeah, I love that. And they absolutely do deserve that, because they're making like one of the most courageous decisions of their lives.
100%.
You know, we have this concierge hospitality approach to our guests, and most certainly in the first 72 hours, because they're the most important people in the room. And so we always go out, we meet the family. It's very concierge. Can I get you something to drink? Like, we want them to feel like, because they're there today, it's the Super Bowl for us.
Yeah.
It's the freaking Super Bowl. Every day is the Super Bowl. And we talked about it a little bit before the show. It's like, we get to do this privileged work with people and explore with them like what might make them feel human again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that you're introducing to not just, you know, we can go to AA meetings. I love that. But also introducing these third-party resources, introducing people to breath work.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to breathe. I still struggle with it until I had 10 years sober.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said, bro, you need to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, breathe.
This
like,
thing you do every day, all day, you're
yeah. Yeah. Like, you're holding your breath again.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I never thought for a moment that would help me in my recovery, but it's been foundational for me. And so I really love the approach that you're taking, the concierge, the hospitality, the putting the individuals first, because so often we refer out to sober living homes and they're met with quite the opposite.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tough space, right? And I think all of it's needed. I'm not saying that there aren't bad actors in the space, but like, you know, we provide service to like a specific set of people, and it's taken us 6 to 8 months to figure out who that is and what it looks like. And for us, we say life integration more than sober living.
Yeah.
We aren't here to help you get sober. There are lots of great resources for that. If I tried to say I was one of them, I'd be lying. It'd be like me telling you that I'm going to make you a bodybuilder,
right.
and I'm 5'10", maybe 9, and 150 pounds. It's like you shouldn't listen to me there. But for people that have found a foundation in their sobriety and are looking more towards the future and building a life, like I think we are a good resource. And there are other places that are going to be better at that. I think the 12 steps is, again, a great foundation for things and can be something that you continue to integrate throughout your life.
Yep.
But we've kind of learned our place through trial and error. And I think in acknowledging that has been important. It's kind of like who am I to tell you what to do? And I'm not anyone to tell anyone what to do. I can give you an idea of things that might work,
right.
but also it's just in my realm of, I even hate to call it expertise, but experience, which is more around wellness and habit building and the life integration piece.
Yeah. Don't you feel like, one of my favorite humans in this field, his name's TJ Woodward, he's an author, and he wrote a recovery program called Conscious Recovery. It's incredible. It's an incredible recovery program. But what he often talks about in that program is for therapy, right? And to be able to help someone, it's really about taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And then holding that space with another that they too have exactly inside of them, buried somewhere inside, that exact perfection that we're holding.
Yeah.
And he's really clear on, and I always talk about this on the show, but he said when we're born, we have this unique perfection. He's like, you ever had a kid? I was like, yeah, I've had kids. And I've watched them come out, and not for a moment would I say that's anything other than perfect.
Yeah.
And so we have this perfection inside of us, and then life builds. And so your approach is really reminding me of just re-identifying that perfection, that humanness, and also like something happened to you, but there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I think we tell ourselves a variety of messages that can be conflated and blown up over time and create and exacerbate a ton of shame.
Yeah. It's even, I woke up this morning and my girlfriend's doing a rotation down here in Colorado Springs. And
Is she Memorial or?
UC Health.
UC Health, okay.
Yeah. And one, she's a surgery resident. She's a badass.
Sounds like
Sometimes I just feel inadequate, with what she does. I really do. And she got up at 5:30 this morning, and then I laid around until 6:30, and then at 7, and I get out of bed, and then I get on my phone, and there came a moment this morning where, I had a lot of shame. I was coming here to this, and I literally texted her, and I was like, I feel like a fraud going to do this. And who am I to do any of this? I don't get it, and she's incredibly supportive. But, what I ended up needing to do was go to the gym, work out, get in the cold plunge, eat some healthy food, and come back to myself. And I think that such a big part of this is helping people understand that they are always deserving and they're not always going to feel that way. It's not like you just flip this switch and one day you're good.
Yeah.
It's one morning you're bad. What do you do to get better? And we try and give people the tools to come back to that, to find themselves. And it took me an hour and a half to come to a place where I thought okay, I can go do this podcast and feel good about myself. And but it's always there. And I think with a lot of what we do with the mindful practice, recovery 2.0, I've heard you call it on the podcast before, of how do I really get aligned with my mental, my spiritual, and my physical self, just to come back to that place that does tell me that I am perfect, imperfect, which is perfect. I'm perfectly me.
Yeah.
And it takes time and effort. And again, I think that's the life integration piece, is life, not momentary integration or 1 year integration. It's this is going to be you for the rest of your life. And how do we build that, and how do we build that habit?
Yeah. I actually love that you brought that up. Hopefully the viewers don't think that every day Chris Burns has amazing days.
Yeah.
But you introduced an element that we chatted a little bit before the show and maybe touched on here, but you're just introducing humanness.
Yeah.
And I love what you do with some of your guests in your program is, they come in and they say them certain things and, I might be this, I might be that. And I love what you tell them back. And it's you're human. You're experiencing a human experience and we're all experiencing it.
Yeah.
my fellowship just got 100 times bigger. You know? Yeah. So now we're all in this thing together called life.
Yeah.
So I love how you introduced that on the show. It's really authentic, and I think it's important. It's similar to, this morning when I woke up, I'm like, mother of God, when my feet hit the floor, I was like, there's no way this can happen today.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, I'll just do a mile. I've talked about this all the time. I'll do a mile, and then I get over the hill, and I'm like, all right, make it 2. All right, well, the back is downhill, so that's easy. Make it 3. Come back, I'm just gonna do a couple sets. I'm gonna do this. And then I just do one step, one breath, one day, one thing at a time. And I've been talking a lot lately too about, especially for folks in early recovery and just experiencing life on life's terms. It's like sometimes our goals are too big, and that can create shame.
Yeah.
And so if the mountain seems too big to climb, we just make a smaller goal.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's kind of the path that you deliver for the folks that call Sonder home and it's a minimum of a 3-month commitment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're calling it home.
Yeah.
And they can live up there for up to 2 years. It reminds me of when we first opened Peaks, we'd have guys picking up a couple years in recovery. And it's just cool to be able to live side by side with those folks.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. Our house manager the other day, we were sitting in a meeting, and she had this throwaway comment that she said, "This is the first home I've had in 16 years." And I was like, "Can we come back to that?"
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Like, what do you
Pass.
mean? Like, yeah, this is like that's amazing. That's beautiful. Like, I would have never thought that, And yeah, that people need space to be and to live and to like have their experience, and to be able to provide that and create that is amazing. Archipelago, we called it the third space. So it's not your house, it's not your work, it's a third space. I think we didn't make that up, and it's
there's a third space coffee down here.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of common nomenclature, and which I kind of thought this was going to be it, but that was a moment where I was like, oh no, this is the first space for some people. Like I didn't even realize that that's what we were creating, which is a beautiful moment too.
Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
Yeah.
When I hear those things, it's just like humbles me to my soul. It's like, we did this together. He's like, no, you didn't. No, we did it.
Yeah.
I had a guy who went through our program. He's an old biker guy, had a big old gray beard. He just left like 4 or 5 days ago. And I got to hang out with him a little bit in his last couple of weeks. We shared a smoothie, and he sat down with me the other day, and he was like, 5 things in my life. My first kid being born, my second kid being born, getting married to my wife. There was one other thing. And he said, Peaks recovery. Top 5. I mean, he's a 60-year-old. He's been through a ton. We get this opportunity and to sit with people on, potentially their worst day and walk them into a life that they didn't even know was possible.
Yeah.
And I love how we can approach it today because, guys will sit down with me sometimes, and women will sit down and say, okay, well, how do I do it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm like, I am not the one to tell you that.
Yeah.
No one else is.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to figure that out yourself.
Exactly.
We can be supportive of that, but this is your journey.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's a journey. Like, you read all the epics, and like we idolize and we fantasize about these extreme scenarios where we're the hero or the heroine, and and then comes our life, and we just want it to be so perfect and so smooth. But also, do we?
Yeah, right.
Like, isn't there something kind of beautiful? Like, the people in the house, like, I get these moments sometimes, and it's even hard for me to understand how I feel about it, that I recognize, like, there's this extreme beauty in the fact that their life has, like, this arc, that they're going to be able to overcome something, hopefully, so significant. And that's life. Like, that's what you look back on and are proud of. That's what that's what makes you who you are. Like, I think all of us look back on life, and like the things we're the most proud of were the hardest things, and like, this is an opportunity. And if they can see it that way, to like really go through something tremendously difficult. And our house manager had back surgery. Like 2 years ago, she had back surgery, and then back had been getting worse. And one day I walked in the house and she could barely walk. Okay. And I'm like, you gotta go to the hospital. Yeah. She's like, no, they're gonna keep me there. She's like, that's what they do, And she's an addict and spent several years on the streets. And she's just like, I know how the hospitals go. I'm like, no, you're gonna be fine. She gets in the hospital, and they're like, you're gonna be here like 7 weeks.
Like, oh, I told you.
I'm like, oh, you were right.
My bad.
But it turns out that she had a like sepsis, like a spinal infection.
Oh, shoot.
And she got sober and stayed sober and has still been sober, but it's been 10 months now. For 9 months of that, having a spinal infection and having to get like part of her spinal column removed through this surgery, having to spend 7 weeks in the hospital. And at the end of it, she's like, I feel like it's just kicking my butt. I'm like, I kind of think you're kicking. It's a hard fight.
For
like,
sure. Yeah.
I'm not saying
fight.
this is an easy fight, but I'm like, I think you're winning. You know.
Yeah.
And you just kind of saw her, like she sat with it for a minute. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Like this is going to be a huge part of your life. You know, like this is just like something you can be so proud of, and just to see them, the little things, the big things. Like I'm proud. This morning I went to the gym in the cold plunge. Like it's a little thing, but like I'm proud. It made my day better. And seeing them with the little things that they do, when they get up a little earlier, when they read 10 pages of a book, to when they hit a year sobriety, you know, it's that and everything in between, just these like moments of joy and like understanding that they're like creating this life that they kind of didn't think they would have at some point. And to see that's just beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't think a lot of people fighting for recovery, mental health or otherwise, know how that's going to be received in the community, because oftentimes they haven't been received well as a result.
Yeah.
You know, and I think to your point, words really matter, and reframing really matters. I was reading, or maybe it was a podcast, who knows, it's a handful of months ago, but it was talking about like cancer diagnoses and how when you go in and you're cancer free, the doctor tells you you're in remission. And like what that does to individuals, as opposed to be like, you're cancer free, we beat this thing.
Yeah.
Let's go. So then I'm not telling myself a story that there's a boogeyman in the closet that's going to come get me.
Yeah.
Creating unnecessary whatever in my nervous system.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that opportunity, because we have this ability today, or this opportunity to sit with people who have very negative narratives about themselves and others. And that little reframe allows people to peek in a window that they didn't know was in the house.
Yeah. I think the other part of it that I've recognized is like exposure. So kind of back to like taking them to Archipelago, or like telling them to go like exist in the world. And something unique, most of my friends, and like I have a big core friend group, like we do like once a year 30 guy trips. It's like, for being 41, I have like too many friends. Very fortunate for it.
That's awesome.
Most of them aren't sober, you know. And when I first started this, they were like, oh man, like, are you sure? Like it's gonna be really tough, the type of people in the house. And they're like, you know, and they weren't trying to look down on it, but they were, you know, to a degree. And here we are 8 months later, and all my friends are like, tell me how Lindsay's doing. She's killing it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Killing it. And so like all my friends, like even their attitude on it is just like changed so dramatically that they're like proud of these people that they don't know. And, you know, I'm not sharing like the details with them of things, but when I get excited about something, I'm like, this girl in my house is killing it. Like, you know, she just went through this really hard thing and she stayed sober. And their attitude is looking at it like it seems like they look at each other when they do something great. It's not this like pity congratulations. It's like, oh man, they did something really hard. And that's amazing. And so I think just like continuing to open up the exposure to it. And, you know, it's like 20% of adults suffer from some sort of substance issue, 25 of us almost with mental health issues. Like it's everywhere. And to tell me 25% of people suffer from mental health, give me
exactly. It's up there.
Those are the
25% report.
Yeah, you know, and it's like we all do. Like it's all on a spectrum. But you know, just to kind of see people start to like recognize that it's just like a different form of struggle, and we all struggle. And so that's been like a really cool thing too. And I think again, like it makes me want to do more and more to like get it out in the world and get people more exposed to the idea that like there's so much beauty in this struggle too. And you know, Viktor Frankl has a quote that suffering ceases to be suffering as it finds meaning. And I think for these people in recovery, as they start to recognize that they do inspire, that their suffering that they've always viewed as suffering, and it was nothing but suffering, it's this bad, terrible time, it starts to get meaning because it's helping somebody else, or it's changing the paradigm, it's shifting people's perspective, and it creates meaning, and then it kind of ceases to be suffering. And there's this switch, this moment that all of a sudden, like that struggle for that year, that 5 years, that 10 years doesn't become suffering, it becomes important. It becomes part of life, and not just their life, but everyone's life, you know, and it's like a really amazing thing to see too.
Yeah. Man's Search for Meaning, that's a great book.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
It's wild. It's like the most horrific place on earth, but we talk about purpose and defining purpose and meaning as a foundation for life.
Yeah.
And the folks that were able to do that with the hellacious situation they had to walk through found survival.
Yeah.
You know, in a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
You know, so introducing that was another thing I wanted to bring up is like, your integrated home, Sonder specifically, I think this can be not just for people who are coming out of an inpatient treatment program or people coming out of Rose House or people, you know, transitioning out of these really heavy kind of clinical settings. You know, this is starting to speak to me of like, you know, folks in community that are just having quality of life issues.
Yeah.
Identifying purpose, like what's my roadmap? What does my life look like? How do I find, there was a program out of Carbondale, it's not around anymore, and it was kind of a parent to Jaywalker Lodge, but it was very similar in what you guys do. And the example they gave me was, you know, we had a guy come in, you know, and they had to have a year sober to get into the program.
Yeah.
So they had to be at that point that you're talking about where it's like, what am I doing? Where am I going? And who's coming with me? And he defines a moment where he's like, this guy, he'd never been in a helicopter before, but he wanted to be a helicopter pilot. He just loved it, man. He loved the TV, Black Hawk Down, loved all the stuff. Really just loved it. They're like, hey man, well, let's get this thing booked for you. Let's get you up in a helicopter. See how it feels, man. And he went up there and he's like, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this.
Yeah.
And so we just strike that off the list.
Yeah.
We don't have to go down this path. I don't have to go to school. I don't have to get in the simulator to find myself in the helicopter 2 years down the road and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I love that you introduce people to like ideas and concepts and, you know, different opportunities for work and relationships, because something's gonna stick.
Yeah, we have someone in our house right now, and her recovery is pretty much going hiking.
I love it.
Like, and she does other things too, but like, if I was just to stick her in a room 4 days a week to have conversations with 40 people, I just don't see her connecting that well to it, you know? And she's been great. She's amazing to have in the house. She keeps a garden outside. She picks all of her weeds. We have a lot of, our landscaping's wild. We have a lot of weeds.
It's been raining a lot.
Yeah, but you know, it's like she goes hiking with other sober people, and it's like, great. I would have never, if you would have walked in this house and said, what should I do? I don't think I would have been like, you should go on hikes.
Right.
You know, like, even though I know that's a healthy thing to
Yeah.
do, it's not the first thing I would say to somebody. But, you know, just giving them the opportunity and access, and being in Colorado, like there is so much too. And I'm learning more about Denver Artists in Recovery and the work that they do, and that there's, you know, all of these organizations that are focused around sober pickleball, sober rock climbing, sober painting, you know, and not that I think that everyone in recovery needs to only surround themselves with other people in recovery. I mean, it can be a great thing, but, you know, to have those resources, especially in those earlier stages, like the, you know, kind of 6 months, a year in, and be able to kind of build a life like that, I think is amazing too.
Yeah.
And so just helping, I'm trying to learn more about it so that I can help them learn more about it and give access. Like Core Power does a free 11 a.m. class every Sunday for the community. And there's a Core Power yoga down the street from us. So it's like, go to that. That's, you know, there's just like all these things out there that are healthy, maybe not sober, but they are sober. Yoga's generally sober. You know, that might not be the main intention of it, but just to connect and giving people access to those resources and understanding what they are.
It's so interesting you say that, because I was in, where was I? End of 23, right before Christmas. I was in New York City with my wife, and I started to see these bars pop up, man. I'm like looking around, I'm like, sober curious bars? Yeah. It's a thing. Yeah. Because what we're learning now through like the Hubermans of the world, it's like, yeah, maybe even one drink a week might be too much. Yeah. You know, and it's not that I have a problem with it. It's just, it messes up with my sleep, you know, my sleep hygiene goes down the road, my nutrition, certainly the sugar. And so I'm just learning from like a cost benefit analysis, like I don't want to do that, but I want to be in community. Yeah. And so offering people an opportunity to find themselves in those communities, sober or otherwise. I like to involve myself in those communities too. And a lot of the communities we're talking about, like hiking, jiu-jitsu, you know, art, a lot of these things, it's really difficult to like have a drink in your hand while you're doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're not hiking with me if you have a drink in your hand. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's gonna be a tough hike. Yeah. So I love that. And I think it's actually taking shape for a lot of people, folks who haven't even struggled with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that that's been a beautiful thing too, is just to see like greater acceptance. And I don't know, I don't have like sources on this, but from what I understand, Gen Z has done like a great job with finding other resources and opportunities than drinking. And I read like the liquor and bar industry complaining about Gen Z because they're
Yeah.
not drinking as much. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just that it's been embedded into what we do so much too, and that makes it so much more difficult. But like, it doesn't have to be.
Yep.
Like, you can be sober and have fun.
Yep.
Like, it's a thing.
Yep,
Like I
exactly.
do things all the time that I'm sober and have
Yeah.
fun. And so, just kind of getting people used to that idea too.
I love that, man. It's a really cool thing you guys are doing and really unique.
I appreciate
And
that.
I think the business model is exactly what Colorado needs right now.
It seems like it, and it's been well received. I had conversations really early that I said, I'm going to do it my way, which is this wellness-based approach. If that doesn't work, that's okay. I'm going to turn this into an Airbnb.
That's what you're saying.
The option wasn't to stick 6 people in a room and rotate them through.
Bunk
And I think
beds.
that's needed sometimes
Sure.
in like early stages, and certain people that's needed. It just wasn't my understanding or expertise either. Luckily, it worked. It's working. I don't say it works. That's scary to say.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time, but we got really lucky having like Denver Women's Recovery down the street and just some wonderful people. And in this space, I cold called, like I made a list of 300 different, in Colorado, I found 300 different rehabs. And I just started cold calling them. And I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. I've done cold calling before, and I'm expecting them to be like, here's the email, like general email, send your information. And I'd be like, well, my name's Jared, and I'm opening a sober living. Who do I talk to? They'd be like, oh, you got to talk to Janet. Janet, get over here.
Yeah.
And Janet would be like, oh, hey, tell me about your sober living. And
Whoa.
can I come visit? And do you want to come visit us? And I was like, this is not like any business I've been a part of. That everyone's been like just so welcoming
Yep.
and so open to supporting. And it's just like, it's amazing.
The Colorado provider community is really unique.
Yeah.
I've been in northern Arizona. I've worked with people in Southern California, and there's just horrific things going on in our industry.
Yeah.
But Colorado is one of the places, at least in my experience of nearly 20 years of doing this, they have a lot of integrity about the way that they work together.
Yeah.
And it's really nice and comforting.
Yeah, it really is. Like I went to a dinner last night, randomly, a girl I went to preschool with
Oh, no way.
now works at a rehab out in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And she was in town putting on a dinner. I haven't seen her since, it's been 20 years since I've seen her. But I walk in and there's like 4 or 5 people that I know.
Wow.
Nick, who works with you
Yeah,
guys, is in there, and I see Nick, and I love Nick. I give him a
Yeah,
hug,
Nick's
and,
great.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like so happy and open, and it's just not what I expected. It felt so quickly a part of the community, and I felt like an outsider at first. I'm new, I don't really know what's going on, and it scared me. And
There's a lot of terminology.
yeah, everyone's like IOP, PHP.
You're
I'm
like,
like,
whoa.
like writing them down in my notebook. I'm like,
I
Google
get it.
this later, And then I just learned to be like, what's that?
Yeah,
and
right.
ask, because no one, when I did say like, what's that? People would be like, oh, of course. Like, let me make sure like you understand that. Not like, oh, you don't get that.
Right, right.
And yeah, again, it's community, and I'm with you. It's like at the basis of everything, like having a supportive community, whatever that looks like to you, is, in my opinion, like the most important thing that you can do. It's a first step. AA provides that so well out of the gate. You can walk in any room in any city, basically any country in the world, and you can have that opportunity.
Yep.
And then
someone will
continue-
walk right up to you and introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
Hey, how are you? I'm Jim.
Yeah. And at first, it's like shocking.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with this? And,
Yeah.
but to be able to provide that other places too. Like we have a calendar at the house, and like the most important thing on the calendar is when somebody new moves in.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the program you're supposed to go to or this or that. It's like knowing someone new is going to be there that day and like prep for them and give that to them. And what I've seen happen there, we had a big transition. As soon as our house manager went to the hospital, we went down to 0 people for a period of time. And then by the time she came back, we had an interim house management. We had 6 or 7 people in the house. And I told them that Lindsay was coming back and it was her birthday, and they got her flowers. And I took her flowers to the hospital, and she'd been really nervous about coming back to the house. She's like, they all know each other and I'm not a part of the community. And I assure her, I'm like, this is your house. More than it's even my house. This is yours. Like, you've done such a great job, and it's yours. But I take her these flowers, and she got like really emotional, and she said, this is the first birthday gift I've gotten since I was 16 years old. I didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
Like, it broke my heart, it made me happy. But she came back into the house, and it was just like such an easier experience, because like this community had embraced someone that they didn't know yet. All they knew is that I cared about this person. I care about them. She's here to help them. They're going to embrace it.
Yeah.
And it's made all of the difference in her recovery too, and like coming into things. And just to be able to see stuff like that is just, the community building, just people coming together.
Yeah.
And the common purpose, I guess it's sobriety, you want to call it that, but it's support.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than that.
Yeah. Wellness and support. I think most people can get down with that.
Yeah.
I think if you pulled 100 people, could you use some wellness and some support? I'd be shocked if it's not in the 90th percentile.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to say no to that?
No support here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm independent.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
That's usually not
I'm
a
a
great
lone
sign,
wolf.
you know?
That's what it's so funny, man. And it's interesting what trauma and mental health issues can make you believe.
Yeah.
You know, because when I got into recovery, I was like, I don't like people. And I was actually diagnosed with antisocial personality. Me?
Yeah.
Antisocial fucking person? What? You know? But we get in these moments, and you and I have this opportunity in the provider community here in Colorado, gets this opportunity to just walk with people side by side as we climb out of the hole together. And
they get to see it, you know? And I had a friend in college, I remember a conversation, they were going through a breakup, and she was like, you know, I feel crazy because I just want to drive by his house and see if anyone else is there. I'm like, it's not crazy to think that. I'm like, if you do that, you're starting to like skirt a line.
Yeah.
And she's like, really? Like, you think that? Like, you feel that way, you know? And it's like, yeah, like we all do. And like just the relief that comes to a person when they get to understand that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, we get to walk side by side. Like, I'm going to be honest with you about how I feel. And I tell everybody in the house, like, if I go to our house meeting about once a month, and I'm always really honest. Like, what's the worst part of your day? I'm like, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to tell you the worst part of my week or my day, and be really honest, and just being able to help people understand, again, this idea of Sonder, that we all live these really intricate lives, and there's good to that and there's bad to that, and in community we get to process that together, we get to lean on each other, we get to learn from each other, and there's just like such a valuable asset to have that I don't want to say it's underappreciated now, because I feel like there's become a lot more appreciation for it, especially over like the last 10 years, and especially since COVID. But you know, still a long way to go, and seeing people just now starting to accept the fact that like, I do need that for me and for my family and for anyone's life that I touch. The more support I have, the more support I can give, and building that into their lives is so important.
Yeah, really unique, really cool model you have. For the viewers, websites, how do we find you? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, website, you asked me the question before, is it sober living? And that's hard for me. I want to call it integrative living now because I'm learning what it is. Website, sondersoberliving.com.
Okay.
Sonder Integrative Living is still open as a
It's on the
domain,
horizon.
and maybe I'll shift to that. It's pretty long.
Just don't put peaks
domain.
in it. It won't work.
But sondersoberliving.com, and then information's on there.
Okay.
We don't have social media. I don't have social media as like a person. It's just been a great shift.
My best friend doesn't do social media, and I'm like, you're a lucky man.
Yeah, I have a Facebook. I don't use it. I don't know if you're like allowed to get rid of Facebook at
It's
this
so
point.
old. Yeah.
Like everything's so connected to it that I don't
It's
really
like
know what to
when
do
you're
with
in
it.
school and stuff.
But yeah, Sonder Sober Living, and then archipelagodenver.com.
Yep.
I think both great resources for people, and not just in sobriety. Again, like we said, it's just people that are trying to find a different way to live, trying to find a better way to live, and I think it's amazing. Archipelago's downtown by the aquarium.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we have a digital billboard on the highway that only I know how to control, that 250,000 people drive by a day.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like I put ridiculous things on there.
That's so cool.
The Denver Post called me one day and they're like, please tell us what's going on. They're like, none of this makes any sense.
That's
and
sweet.
like, I'm like putting stuff up about like Zach Morris and Saved by the Bell, so that space is downtown, and then our sober living is like in the Cherry Creek, Virginia Village area. Looking to open up another one over there.
In the same area.
Yeah, in the same
Cool.
area. Yeah, it just I got really lucky that we put it where it was, but I can reverse engineer that luck to get it again now that I know what it is.
Yeah.
So going to try and stay there for the next one, and then looking to open a men's house sooner than later too.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and you know, besides that, I tell everybody, like, we just want to be a resource for wellness and anything that we can be, whether it's you're looking for sober living or you just think that there's something that I know or we know that could be helpful, like reach out.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're all in this together, and all want to be supportive of each other, make the world a better place, partially selfishly, so I feel good.
Yeah,
It's
right.
something that makes me feel good.
Yep.
It's my cold plunge is also like feeling like I was of service in some capacity. So yeah, open to it all.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jared.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been-
you. This was, like I said, I came in feeling undeserving and nervous, and there's always going to be an element of that. And but this is wonderful, and
Yeah.
I really appreciated the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And please get on those websites. I think you're going to be blown away. You know, the Sonder Sober Living website as well as the Archipelago. Just really unique modalities, unique service lines here in Denver and to the greater Colorado area. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Until
thank you
next
so
time,
much.
my beautiful people. Peace.